I recently had somebody give me a call, and it was a similar situation I've seen so many times this year. Hey, I'm in a good position. I have good finances. Should I buy now, or should I wait 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years, whatever? My first reaction, I was like,
Dude, am I a freaking fortune teller? How the frick am I supposed to know what you're supposed to do? This is your life.
now with things starting to calm down with the increased inventory, you might be hearing news articles or your local realtors telling you everything's turning around, and you're just like, I don't know if it's the right time for me yet. In this video, we're not going to look at the investment portion of it, whether you think buying a home is a wise investment or not. This video is not for you. There's going to be people that think it's always a bad idea to buy. There's going to be people that think it's always a good idea to buy, right? And they're usually motivated by their own either self-motivations or their own past history. We cannot change their mind. Here we're going to be talking about is for those who are normal, who are looking at the house not necessarily as an investment, but like, you know what? I'm going to have to move. Should I buy or should I rent? What do I do? We're not all going to live in our parents' house forever. Okay? I don't know what people expect us. They expect, I'm a millennial and that used to mean something. Now it means that we're 30 years old and we're gaining too much weight. Apparently I have high blood pressure now. I'm 28. Hey, first of all, I'm trying to check my sodium now. Do you guys realize how much sodium is in everything? Like, I'm surprised I haven't had a heart attack to this point, to be quite honest with you. But anyways, we're not going to all live with our parents for the rest of our lives. The conclusion then becomes we're going to have to live somewhere else. We're going to have to rent, or we're going to have to buy. Now, looking at this as a purely logical formula, let's get scientifical, if that's even a word. Let's do it. Let's figure it out if it's a word or not. To buy a home, you need a starting investment. Right? So you need some capital. I know I told you not to look at it like an investment, but I can't help it. And that'll get you to a certain monthly payment. And if you want to rent a house, you have the same conclusion. You eventually will have a monthly payment that you need to live by, but the starting capital is a lot less. The first thing you should ask yourself, whether you're deciding to buy now or buy X amount of time later, is, do I have the starting capital? I need to buy a house. Okay. How do we find this out? First, we need to find out what purchase price would work for you. Go on your local website. Go on those national websites with the real estate home searching sites and start figuring out what works for you in your current situation. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. You don't need to get scientifical here. Once again, a good word. I don't know if it exists, but you don't have to do that. Just start figuring out what price range works for you. Now, using that price range, we can figure out what your starting costs are going to be. We'll use $400,000. I normally would say, well, there's two routes to go. There's FHA and there's conventional. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be very hard for you to buy with FHA right now. So we're going to assume you can go conventional. Your starting costs at the minimum would require you to be 3% down, 5% down, 10% or 20%. So let's just use 3%, $12,000. Okay. Closing costs, I'm going to think about 2%. So we'll do 2% in this situation. About $8,000. I think that's a little too high for Phoenix. So it's like around 6 or 7. So I would say just use 1.5%. I think that's a little better. Might be higher. If you're like in other states that the taxes are really high, it can be like closer to 2%. But in this case, it's more of the time it will be like 1.5%. So yeah, 6,000. So we'll do that. So we are at 12,000 plus 6,000. We're currently at 18,000. I don't know why I doubted myself there. Okay, so that's starting cost. We're not going to go, well, you can get the seller to pay your closing cost. Not the right market for that. Now, a lot of lenders might require you to have 3 months reserves. A lot of budget connoisseurs will tell you need to have some reserves. Please, I always tell people this all the time. Your house savings is not your actual savings. Once I had somebody tell me, hey, I've saved up $60,000. That's my entire savings I have for everything. And this is what I have for the house. I told them, do not ever tell me that again. Don't ever tell anyone else that again. You have $50,000 for the house and you have $10,000 in emergency savings that no one needs to know about. So this is assuming that you are budget conscious and you have an emergency savings already aside. Whatever many months you have, whatever. The $18,000 is just for startup costs for the house. If you already are not having enough for the startup cost, then that automatically knocks you off. Yes, you might be in a situation where you're in a state that has some kind of federal or statewide national down payment assistance program that might help you make up for that. I will say this: if you have that situation in front of you, then you need to ask yourself this question: do I urgently need to move out like soon? Is there a lease coming up? My babies need a backyard. I'm tired of them being in this freaking apartment or whatever. Something really urging you. Like, when you have something stuck in your foot that's like been nagging at you. If you have a very specific thing that's been bugging you or that's a really motivating factor for you, then yes, you can use down payment assistance to help you kind of make up for that. But like I've said in previous videos, down payment assistance should be helping you as a buyer, not creating you as a buyer. But if you don't have the startup costs, stop, reevaluate how long it will take you to get that. That's your next step. Stop watching this video. I'm just kidding. Go click on 5 other videos right now and watch them all of mine. In this case, you should maybe not be aggressively researching the buying process. You should instead start researching budgeting. You should start researching realtors and lenders you want to work with. Join Discord servers of people with great communities. Description below. Do other things to start helping you prepare, not actively start searching. If you do have the startup costs and you have the decision to make, should you rent or should you buy? You have an idea of what your purchase price will be. Good. Now go figure out what a house like that or a house that you're willing to look for. How much does it cost to rent per monthly payment? Just go look for it. You might be surprised. Here in Phoenix, like a house that'll be a $1,700 monthly payment to buy will be like a $2,000 price to rent. There was somebody the other day on a live stream of my friends, Kyle, that they were like, renting is way more cheaper than buying. Why would anyone buy? That person lives in some other place that's not big, I would imagine. Because right now in most states, your rent monthly payment for a house will usually be way higher than it is a monthly payment. Once you find out that rental monthly payment, get an idea of what your monthly payment would be for that purchase price. Now, don't get pre-approved. Don't go do anything drastic. But you can use a lot of online calculators that'll help you get an idea. Make sure that they have the accurate taxes. Make sure that they're using a good interest rate. Make sure they're using the actual monthly payment. They mostly give you a good idea of how to figure out your monthly payment. And once you have those two numbers, you're going to notice probably that the monthly payment for the purchase price, the buying a house, is usually cheaper, and the renting one is more expensive. Now, you have the startup cost. You're seeing both of those numbers. Probably one of them is attractive to you. Now you have to lay out pros and cons. And before you lay out pros and cons, I want you guys to do a little research on your local market. I made this video called How to Look for a House Like a Chad, and I think that'll do a great resource for you. You want to start getting a good indication of what your market determines you need as a buyer. Now, you might be surprised to find out that in your specific market, having down payment and closing costs might not be enough. You might need some kind of appraisal waiver or contingency or something. So you're going to add some more money on that starter cost if it is more expensive to buy than you thought, because some markets need an extra 5 or 10K to do appraisal gaps and all kinds of interesting things. So whatever that is there, add it to there. So pros and cons, let's lay them out. Buying a home, right? It's a huge leap of faith, not only in the market, but in yourself. Are you going to be able to maintain this house? Not only maintain it, but maintain your lifestyle to be able to afford this house. Whatever happens to the housing market, whatever happens to the condition of the house, will you be able to weather any storm in this house? Potential rewards are limitless. Your value can explode. You can, whatever the case may be. You could also lose a lot of money. Your market can crash and tank and you'll be left with nothing. But know that the odds are probably in your favor to at least get your money back and maybe some more. But at least worst case scenario, you should get your money back. When I say money back, I mean, let's say you're paying $1,500 a month. Per year, that's $18,000. So after 10 years, it's about $180,000 that you put into it. Odds are you're going to get close to that, maybe a lot more if you sell it 10 years from now. Even if the market crashes, like people say, it bounces back up, right? So unless there's like a world-ending some kind of catastrophe. I don't know why I'm laughing about that. It's not funny. I'm still laughing. Stop laughing. Okay. It's a lot of responsibility. And more importantly, it's a lot of startup costs. If the startup cost scares you and it doesn't leave you with a lot of emergency savings, then you need to give yourself 3, 6 months, 9 months, however long it will take you to save up that comfort money. Everyone has different comfort money. For me, comfort money in my early 20s was like, have an extra $400. Let's go. Terrible. Now I wouldn't even think about doing a major expense without at least 3 to 6 months reserves. Whatever your comfort money is, give yourself enough time to get that comfort money to be able to take a leap. The renting pros and cons. The startup cost is pennies compared to buying a house. Sometimes you need like deposits, 2 or 3 months worth of it, meaning like if you pay $1,800 a month, multiply that by 3, that's probably where you're going to need to start off. A lot of places don't even do that. People always talk so bad about renting, but it's great to be able to have something temporary. Like you're going to be there for the next 12 months. You're going to have this monthly payment and nothing can change that. They probably will raise your rate down the road, but they can't raise it during the lease. And your startup cost is very minimum, that if you are getting to the point where you're working up starter costs for buying a house, it won't leave you broke. And there's nothing wrong with renting. 100% nothing wrong with it, as long as it's a stepping stone. And if having that low startup cost and having that low responsibility is something that's attractive to you and your lifestyle, then that's your clear path. If you want to have more of a permanent foothold in wherever you're living in, and you have the startup cost and you have the comfort money, then you're ready to buy. I went a lot into it. Hopefully you guys really narrow down if it's you should buy now or 12 months from now. And I'm going to tell you now what I tell everybody. I have no idea. This is your personal decision. I cannot just simply tell you just off the freaking fart of my butt that you should do this. No. Why would I tell someone that has no money in the bank, you should go buy? Why should I tell somebody with a lot of cash in the bank and have a really good job that they should go rent? Every situation is different. You have to determine yourself what the best route is. And at the end of the day, once you figure out that route, you can look into the market. You can look into things like that. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm always going to say this, and I hate when people in the comment section go, bro, you change your opinion so much. My opinion has always been this. You can go look at those old COVID videos where I'm like, shave my head and I have a terrible haircut. I've always said buy long term. That's how you avoid anything. You have, for a long period of time, you ride any wave that comes up or down on the market. As long as you can afford your monthly payment, that's all that's important. Your job is solid. You can afford your monthly payment. You're going to be fine, because guess what? What's the alternative? Maybe the startup cost is a lot less, but you're paying about the same, if not more, renting a place. So you're having the same monthly payment. You just don't have your own collateral responsibility attached to it, right? So you're still going to have to not live with your parents. Why not own where you live if you're going to buy? And that's my TED Talk. Thank you guys for going. You might have noticed I was gone for the last month. I did have COVID. I was been laying down in that bed there for the last year. So thank you guys for last few weeks. So thank you guys for being patient and whatnot. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.